Folks, I've talked about it before. I'm going to do it again. Who you hire matters. And then get into the latest home prices and insights for the Peel and Durham region for week ending May 17th, 2023. So we sold the house and we ran into some problems. Let me tell you what happened. We listed this property about $1.5 million range. Now we listed it traditionally, meaning we didn't list it low and have an offer date. The seller and I, we looked at all the different aspects of the neighborhood and decided if it sells for about 1.5, it's probably a good price for this house. The seller agreed, yeah, if I get 1.5, I'll be happy. It makes total sense. So we listed it really, really, really close to what it was going to sell for. And things went well. There was showings right away, real quick. And within a couple of days of being on the market, we received an offer. The offer came in a little bit over the asking price and no conditions. So before I get into the full presentation of the offer with my client, I'm calling the agent who submitted the offer on behalf of the buyers to get as much information as I can. So this way I could explain everything to my client who was the seller. I'm speaking with the buyer's agent and he tells me, Santo, we know that we've come in a little bit above market value. My clients want this house, so they've come in at the maximum they're prepared to pay. If you want to change anything in the offer, don't touch the price, only the closing date. The buyers were flexible. So I explained this to my client and he says, Santo, I'm happy with the closing date. It's fine. We'll leave it the way it is. And if that's their position, this is their maximum, and it's more than what we expected anyways, they're going to take it the way it is. So we accepted the offer. Everything is great. They did have a clause that gave them 3 visits to the property before closing, which is very, very common. And within a couple of weeks of the offer being accepted, they booked their first visit. Now, my client was going to be home that day, so he said, don't worry about putting a lockbox here. When they show up for the visit, I'll step out and they could have free reign of the house for the hour that they booked the visit, and I'll be close by just on the street or outside in the front or something like that, he said. But I'll give them the house, I'll give them their privacy. That's what happened. They showed up for the visit. He says hi, introduced himself, lets them in. He steps out. Turns out one of the neighbors were out front, so he's talking to the neighbors while these buyers are having a visit of the house. They ended up bringing their parents to the visit to show them. Everybody's happy, everybody's excited going in. Within about half an hour, they come out very, very upset and walk directly to my client, the seller, and say, we didn't know there was a sewer in the backyard. We don't want to buy this house anymore. You guys lied, you cheated, you hid this from us. Obviously, this is a very uncomfortable position to be in for my client, the seller. So he calls me right away and explains to me what I just told you happened, that these buyers came out all upset, that they didn't know there was a sewer in the backyard and they don't want the house anymore. He's telling me, and I know that's not the fact. It's not the way it happened. I'm surprised that the buyer's agent hasn't called me yet. So I call and I say, hey, what's going on? What happened? Your clients came out all upset, and he was there also, the buyer's agent. You guys came out all upset, talking to the seller, making him really uncomfortable. What's going on? He says, Santo, that's not cool. The fact that there's a sewer in the backyard, my buyers don't want to buy the house anymore. And I said to him, but do you think that we hid that fact from you? Because, well, we didn't know. I go, whose fault is that? Because if you go onto the MLS photos, you'll see pictures of the backyard. It's impossible to not show the sewer when you're taking a picture of the backyard. So the MLS pictures show it. If you're standing in the living room or the kitchen looking out, you're going to see the sewer. If you step out onto the back deck, you're going to see the sewer. It's not like we built the sewer after the offer was accepted. I said, we didn't hide nothing. It's always been there. You or your client, something screwed up along the way where you guys didn't notice what was obviously there. He says, no, they wanted the deal. I go, well, if you feel so strongly in your position, your buyer's lawyer then should be calling the seller's lawyer and discuss it, because this is beyond now, the real estate side of things. But I knew he had no leg to stand on there. So I called my client's lawyer and say, look, here's what happened. These people are going to call you, but I need you to know the pictures are visible. The sewer's visible from the pictures on the MLS. And at anywhere in the house, even on the second floor, looking out of the bedrooms facing the back, you see the sewer. Nobody's hiding nothing. It's always been there. So the lawyer was satisfied with what I told him, and we left it to them. And that home, even though they argued back and forth for a bit, the lawyers, it ended up closing. So here's the takeaways from this, though. You're going to see a house. You really should look at the whole house. Now, there's a responsibility from the agent to show the whole house. And there's a responsibility from the agent not to get caught up in the hype of the buyers. And this has happened to me before. We'll go into a property and my clients, the buyers, love it. They're excited, they're motivated, and we see the first floor and we get to the kitchen where normally there's the patio doors going out, and they're, oh wow, it's a nice backyard. And I say, hey, come, step outside. Oh, no, we can see it from here. I go, guys, come out, have a look. You want them to experience the whole property. And it's only after stepping outside, maybe there's going to be something they don't like. Maybe there's a neighbor's house staring right into their yard, or maybe the fence is falling apart around the corner. Who knows? But if you don't step out, you're not going to notice certain things. And then we see the first floor and the second floor, and they're loving it. And they say, is the basement finished? I say no. And they go, okay, let's get out. I go, no, let's go to the basement. They said, but it's not finished. What are we seeing? Let's just go in the basement and see what we see, even if it's an unfinished basement. And obviously, that didn't happen. That didn't happen with this group that went to go see that property. So as an agent, show the whole house all the time. If you're the buyer, go see the whole house all the time. Don't get so hyped up that you love it, and then you don't do the fundamentals. That's one takeaway. See the whole house. The other takeaway, why would these guys put in an offer with no conditions when they weren't competing with anybody? There was no other offer on the table. Why would they have no home inspection condition? It makes no sense to me. They messed up there. Now, you can have a home inspection condition and then decide you're not going to spend the money on a home inspection. That's your prerogative as a buyer. Maybe go back, instead of a home inspection, go back and have a much closer look yourself, even if you don't want to spend the money. Although I would say home inspectors' money well spent, but that's a story for another time. But they put in an offer, no conditions off the bat. They weren't competing with anybody. That's a mistake. And the last takeaway. Look, mistakes happen, things happen, this can go the wrong way. But when you start off the conversation in an aggressive tone, calling someone else a cheat or a liar, or they tricked you, and you start off that conversation aggressive, right away the other party is not trying to understand what you're saying. They're right away in defense, or trying to be more offense than you are to contradict whatever it is you're telling him. You're accusing people of bad things. What do you think is going to happen? You can get more of what you want if you come from a position of at least respect for the other side. That maybe something was missed, and maybe you need to take some responsibility. And I'm saying that because my seller client in that house is the sweetest, nicest person you could ever meet. And he told me after, he says, Santo, you know, I wouldn't have even mind so much. Maybe I would have considered letting them off the hook and just putting the house back. The market is strong. They probably wouldn't have lost any money. But they attacked me verbally in front of my neighbor that I've got a long-standing relationship, and were saying that I cheated them. Like, they just were so aggressive. There's no chance I'm going to even contemplate anything that they're saying. So you can get more of what you want in any situation in life, just from a position of respect and asking nicely versus starting in attack mode. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from this video, subscribe. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, it's really simple. Below this video, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Let's get into the numbers. Folks, if you watch yesterday's video on the City of Toronto, week over week, average prices for detached properties went up. But I'm going to show you now in this video for Mississauga, Brampton, and Durham, average prices week over week came down in all those three areas. And if you watch tomorrow's video on Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham, average prices also came down week over week. So, except the City of Toronto where prices went up, everywhere else prices came down. I'm having a hard time understanding why. If you feel you know, please comment below. Let me know why prices came down week over week. But let me show you what the numbers really look like. So here's a quick summary. This is for detached properties only. We got the Durham region down here in red. Durham, I'm using Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby as my Durham sample. Then we have Brampton in green, and we've got Mississauga up here. Now, one week to the next, so from May 10th to week ending May 17th, prices came down, came down, came down. I'm going to show you the amount of property selling at list price or more. The percentage in many of the areas actually increased or is remaining high. Months of inventory is still low. In some areas it went down, some it went up, but it didn't change by much. It's really hard to understand. Even the amount of property selling at $2 million or more really hasn't changed much, and in some areas actually increased, but prices still came down. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So we're going to start off with Mississauga. 85 properties were sold, big jump from the previous week. 13 properties sold at $2 million or more, which is the same as the previous week, and it's more than most of the year before that. It's the best week we've had at properties selling at $2 million or more. Tied for first place those 2 weeks there. Yet average sold price came down. $1,592,000 is the new average sold price for Mississauga for week ending May 17th. This is for detached properties only. $1,592,000 is 19% lower from the peak pricing of where we had back in January 2022. Now, you know, I also put the number here. We often will say 19%, 5%, 10%. They're percentages. What do they mean? Well, translated to dollars, we are about $375,000 lower right now, average sold prices, than where we were at the peak. $375,000 lower. Compared to prices a year ago for the same week, we're only 5% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago, and the median price is 7% lower. So let's look at the dotted line. The dotted line is a 4-week moving average. Now the dotted line makes it simpler, or the 4-week moving average makes it simpler to spot a trend, but it's not without its flaws. So we're seeing here that prices have come down, but a 4-week moving average basically takes every 4 weeks and averages out so the line is smoother. Well, when prices turn, the 4-week moving average is a little bit more gradual in the turn, but we can see here that prices are coming down. So they were going up, and now maybe they're going to continue to go down, or maybe that's it, just for these 1 or 2 weeks, and then they get back. That's what we don't know. So we're going to monitor this really, really close, and we'll be on it as shifts and changes start to happen, and we'll be reporting it here. But knowing is half the battle. Understanding why sometimes can be a little bit more tricky. 85 sold, 62%, excuse me, 62% sold at list price or more. That's the highest percentage we've had all year, and prices came down. So based on this, it's more competitive than it's been all year, and price came down. 136 were listed. It's nice to see listings coming up, so there's more choice. But months of inventory, extremely low, 0.8 months of inventory. 12 is the average days on market, so it's extremely competitive. Months of inventory is low. When it's this low, you expect prices to go up. It's not what happened in Mississauga, but it's not what happened anywhere outside the city of Toronto. And another note here, I've moved what we would normally, for months of inventory, the lines that we say is a balanced market or a seller's market, it was sitting at between 4 to 6, and that's widely kind of known or regarded as balanced market is between 4 to 6 months. But we're in new times now. We're so used to months of inventory being so low that, and we saw it when things changed, that as soon as months of inventory starts approaching 2.5 months, we're already feeling it being almost a balanced market. But the minute, as soon as we get close to 3 months, it's going to be a balanced market. Prices are going to be very stable. And so I've adjusted it to our modern times today as to what our market is really showing. Anywhere between 3 to 5 months is going to be a balanced market. Here's Brampton. 79 detached properties were sold. I drew a flat line there just because prices really haven't, sales have not really been increasing or decreasing that much. It's kind of flat. 2 properties sold at $2 million or more, which is down by 1 from the previous week. Average sold price came down to $1,297,000, which is 22% off the peak price that we had back in January last year. And 22% is 300 or approximately 350,000 lower than peak price. 1297 is 4% lower than where we were a year ago for the same week. And the median price is also 4% lower than where we were a year ago at this time. And just like Mississauga, and just like all the other areas I'm going to be talking about right now, prices have been trending up, but this week it looks like they just turned. Of the 79 that did sell, 86% in Brampton sold at list price or more. I can assure you, 86%, if you're out, you're a buyer and you're shopping and you're putting offers, 86% is going to feel like almost every house is selling at list price or more under competition. 185 were listed. It's nice to see listings coming up to give more choices, and months of inventory, it did go up, but just by 0.1. So it's sitting now at 1 month of inventory. But if we look a little bit kind of back, and I've got 3 months on the board here, broken down by week. The months of inventory have been coming down. Kind of looks like they're trending upwards a little bit now in the Brampton area here. Here's Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby. That's what I'm using for my Durham sample. 76 properties were sold. 2 of those were at $2 million or more, which is up by 2 from the previous week, because the previous week we didn't sell any. 0 were sold at $2 million or more. So in this week, we got 2 properties selling at $2 million or more, and average sold price still came down. It's now sitting at 1,215,000. 1215 is 20% lower from the peak pricing. 20% represents about $300,000 lower than when we were at our peak price. Peak price was a little over 1.5 million February last year. 1215 is basically same price that we had a year ago, so no real percentage change there. The median price of 1,157,000 is 2% higher than where the median price was a year ago, and similar trend to Mississauga and Brampton. Average price and median price were trending up. Now it looks like we're curving. Of the 76 that sold, 79% sold at list price or more. It's very competitive. 109 were listed, and months of inventory came down. It's sitting at 0.5 months of inventory. That's an extreme seller's market. We don't expect prices to come down unless it's just a fluke this 1 week, and over the next few weeks we're going to see prices going up again. You know, we're going to be watching that and reporting it here. 9 is the average days on market. Condos, this is for all of Peel region. 53 condos were sold. Average sold price for condos has been trending down for a while now. This is nothing new. 609 is the average sold price, which is 17% lower from the peak pricing, and 17 represents about $120,000 lower than when we were at the peak. 609 is 7% lower than the average price a year ago. The median price is 11% lower, and we can see prices were trending up, but for about a month now they've been trending downwards. 53 were sold, 38% sold at list price or more. So it's obvious the condo market, very, very different as far as activity and percentages and you know, property selling at list price or more. It's a whole different animal, whole different experience buying in a condo field versus buying the detached market. 100 condos were listed, and months of inventory has been climbing now for about 4 weeks, now sitting at 1.5 months of inventory. The fact that months of inventory is climbing helps to explain why prices have been trending down over the same kind of 4 or 5 week period. Here's a quick summary. Just a reminder, I'm going to stop talking about it soon, but I just want everybody to understand the new reality is that by the time we get to 4 months of inventories to start thinking it's a balanced market, look, it's going to feel and behave like it's a balanced market when we're getting really close to 3 months of inventory. So between 3 to 5 really is going to be, we're going to get all the aspects of what a balanced market is. Right now we're in a seller's market. Down here at 0.81, 0.5, it really is an extreme seller's market still. I can't see no real explanation why prices across the board, except the City of Toronto, came down. If you know, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.